African American students at ICC, when I arrived in 2000, 2001, was about 8 to 9% of our student population. Now we're as high as 15, 16% in African American students, and that's not by accident.
Okay.
We're specifically recruiting and supporting the African American student to look at college, and especially look at the community college as a good first step for that educational goal. But we haven't just said, come to the college and get an education. We're saying, come to the college and be welcomed.
Welcome to Captions. I'm Lamar Anderson, the interim host. On tonight's show, I have a very special guest with me, Dr. John Erwin of Illinois Central College, and we're going to actually talk about the value of higher education. We all know here in Peoria, Illinois, that we've heard time and time again as we were growing up that education is very important. And to get a quality education is something that you must do if you're trying to enter the workforce. And higher education is one of the many ways that we can actually do that. So what I wanted to talk to Dr. Erwin about today is a little bit about the institution that you service, and you're actually, what is your title, and I know you're at Illinois Central College, but what is your exact title that you hold?
Yeah, I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer for Illinois Central College.
And could you give us a little information about the history of Illinois Central College?
Sure.
How did it come about, and how did you get to Peoria?
Well, the state of Illinois has the third largest community college system in the country. Texas and California are the two that are larger. So there are 48 state colleges in Illinois, and Illinois Central College is one of those. It was constituted and formed in 1966-67, and 1967 a referendum was passed, which had allowed us to form what's called District 514. The entire state of Illinois was carved into community college districts. There's not a single square inch that isn't covered in Illinois by a community college. And Illinois Central College covers 2,300 square miles.
Wow.
It's twice the size of Rhode Island in size. So there's a considerable geographical boundary for ICC.
And approximately what is that geographical boundary that you all cover?
Well, if you'd go to the north to Bradford, you're still in Illinois Central College's district. If you go north of Bradford to a little town called Milo, you're still in ICC's district. If you hit Interstate 80, you just moved out of our district. If you go to the west, it's the Knox County, Peoria County line. And if you go south, as far south as San Jose, Mason City, you're still in that ICC district. If you were to go to east, El Paso, Gridley, Flanagan, they're all in ICC's district.
Wow.
So it is a large geographical district for us.
And what are the programs that you all view as like the flagship programs? What are some of the programs that you all have implemented as of lately that you're just very proud of and you can't wait for the public to find out about those new things?
Now, Lamar, there could be an entire set of conversations about this because there's over 180 plus programs at ICC, and I'm proud of all of them. For every program that can be accredited, they're accredited. The college, of course, is accredited. And but there are some interesting ones, and I think maybe for the viewers it'd be helpful to point out a few that are a little less known. We have the usual ones in the health careers. Nursing certainly one of our strongest. The Caterpillar Dealership Technician Program is very unique. It was the first in the world. It is a prototype for the other 17 that exist in the world. We have a diesel power program that was elected by Cummins Diesel 4 years ago as the #1 diesel power program in the country. We have education as a major. It's one of our largest majors. Those are the more well-known programs that we have that have some recognition. But when I look at some distinctive or unique elements, a couple come to mind. For example, Lamar, we have an associate degree in dance. Not a lot of people know that, but in the performing arts community, that is known, and it's an important part of our service to our central Illinois area. Another degree that isn't as well known, but it's very popular now through a television series, NCIS. So if a viewer is interested in crime scene investigation, Illinois Central College is one of only 5 community colleges in the country that offer crime scene investigation, crime scene technology. That program is located at ICC North. So those are some distinctive aspects.
And you just helped me with one of the other things that people may not know about all the different campuses that Illinois Central College has. What are all the different locations where you all are located, and do the different locations specialize in different things?
Yes. So East Peoria is our traditional and original campus. We'll have about 7,000 students that attend East Peoria, and it has our general education, transfer, liberal arts, and science areas, but there are also some special programs there. So the CAT dealership tech programs there, diesel power is there, certainly our pre-engineering programs there, machining, agriculture. There's programs there that are unique to that campus. American Sign Language is there. Again, go on and on. There's a lot of distinctive elements to the East Peoria campus. And of course, it was the original 460 acres donated that founded the college. But then the college over years has expanded itself and reached out into our community as it should appropriately do. So we have our downtown campus with Pearlie and Thomas buildings there on Adams Street. And that is very important to us right now for health careers. Our nursing program, those are the programs that anchor that downtown site currently. And then there's ICC North. 10 years ago, we obtained the opportunity to be there. Over the years, it's evolved into some special programming. For example, our Culinary Arts Institute is located at ICC North.
I saw that recently.
Yeah. Well, you need to get out there for some lunch and try some of the results of the students. It's actually a wonderful program. The 3 chefs there do a great job for us. Police training is out at ICC, and that's a regional program. It helps our existing police force continue their certifications and their education. I have already mentioned Crime Scene Technology is a program at ICC North. And then our Professional Development Institute. That institute, Lamar, reaches out into the community, the corporate business community, and looks at continuing education, workshops, and raising the skill level of our workers in our community after they're in the workforce. And then we go to ICC South, and that's in Pekin, and it's located uniquely in the industrial park. When talking to the leadership in Pekin, we ask how they would like Illinois Central College connected to the community, and they said, we're blue collar and we're proud of it. So they looked at a site at the industrial park. That's about 5 years ago. It's about 5 acres and about 20,000 square feet, but there we've concentrated on a welding lab. There's a 24-station welding lab on that site. There's a health skills nursing lab. So certified nursing assistant program is offered there. And then there's general classrooms. So we can offer that history, sociology, psychology class, whatever it might be, that's a general education class.
So it sounds to me that one of ICC's goals are to make a lot of different partnerships in the communities to help service the students that you have. You're talking about the health sciences. So do you all have partnerships with the local hospitals in the area, as well as Caterpillar, with those different types of jobs that students are going to be looking for to help filter them to those particular types of jobs?
Every one of our occupational career programs has an advisory council.
Gotcha.
The advisory council is made up of community members and often people in the profession or in the career. They're already practicing professionals. So they advise us on what kind of curriculum to have, what kind of internships and co-ops should be available to students, and the equipment we may need. We absolutely couldn't exist without partnerships. Caterpillar Dealership Technician Program, all of the equipment donated by Caterpillar.
Wow.
I mean, we just couldn't afford to have that program without that kind of support. Diesel Power has numerous companies that offer equipment to us. Our automotive program couldn't exist if we didn't have the donations, the generous donations of our local automobile people. So those are really, really important to how we continue and move into the future. And I would say in the future, with the restriction on funding, it's even more critical that we have partnerships. And we build those partnerships and use them and leverage them towards success for student preparation.
Now, what types of students, is the traditional students still attending ICC, or what types of students are trying to come to ICC, and how easy Could you walk us through the process of actually enrolling the student into the program?
Well, let's talk first of all about the kind of student that attends ICC. About half of our students are transfer students. Lamar, like yourself, when you attended ICC, you took classes, you prepared yourself, then you transferred to the university and look at your baccalaureate attainment.
And you treated me well.
Well, you're doing fine. So you're an example of that student who uses the college as a stepping stone to their educational goal. Often it's baccalaureate attainment, maybe going on to graduate studies, and at least 50% of our 12,000 students, at least 6,000 of them, are looking at that kind of step. Okay. But there's another group, the other side of that, the other 6,000, and they're looking at education to work. Gotcha. Getting that particular program taken care of and then immediately stepping out into the workforce. Many of our health careers are 2-year associate degree attainment, like surgical technician or respiratory therapist, and they'll go directly into the workforce. Okay. And they'll work for a period of time. Now, they may find out they need additional education, additional training. That's just fine, but our initial step is that associate degree for those students. Gotcha. So it's about 50-50 for us.
So what things do you have in place if a student is coming to ICC for the first time, non-traditional or traditional student? How do they get into the process of actually taking classes?
Well, again, this could be a long conversation, but I'll try to keep it simple and informative. The first step is always to look at the basic application. That's just basic information about oneself, you know, your address, your name, etc. But then after that, and importantly attached to that, is a financial aid form. Okay. And financial aid forms are readily available online, and we have financial aid advisors to walk a person through the process. But it's fairly detailed, and it's one of those steps that gets complicated because there's financial aid at the state level, financial aid at the federal level, and financial aid available from ICC. So that package has to be put together, very customized to each individual student's needs. And we have a wonderful ICC Educational Foundation. They offer over 700 scholarships regularly. So there's additionally that local support that's there for students. And then we have that program called Peoria Promise, which allows students within the city limits of Peoria to take advantage as they've been in the city and in public education longer. They get more scholarship money. But that program is viable and alive and doing well. And so we work with 300 students every year on Peoria Promise. So those are important steps for enrollment. The next step would be to look for that initial advisor who can guide you through your educational goal. As I said, half the students want to transfer, so we would like to know what university you want to transfer to. And then we can work with that university with an advisor to make sure it works really well. Let's say you wanted to attend Bradley University. We would contact our counterpart at Bradley, work with that student for a safe crossing over to Bradley University. So all those credits will be valued and weighed.
Seamless transition.
That's right, and that they'll have junior status when they transfer.
Okay, also for students, in terms of trying to select careers, do you have anything in place? Because, you know, we have students who are fresh out of high school who have no idea what he or she wants to do with the rest of their life, and non-traditional students who are redefining who they are. Do you have anything that helps students to find out what they want to actually do with the rest of their life?
Yeah, Illinois Central College is fortunate in that we have a career center, and that center isn't just a physical building and location. Importantly, there's software and advisors engage regularly with students to explore their aptitude, explore what they're interested in, and then matching their curriculum or their degree work with that aptitude. So the Career Center is very valuable to us. And by the way, it's open to the community. You do not have to be a student to go to the Career Center at ICC in East Peoria and take advantage of its resources.
That is some really good information to know. And I did also notice, if anyone hasn't had the opportunity to visit the East Peoria campus, you all are doing some building over there, there are some new facilities over there. Could you talk a little bit about some of the new facilities that you have?
Right. Lamar, the most recent new building we have is the Cougarplex. The Cougarplex took the existing Lorraine Ramsey Gymnasium that was built back in 1970 and really wrapped around it a modern fitness area with multiple courts for court sports like volleyball, basketball, etc. We are very fortunate to have that facility, and it's really state-of-the-art. Just this past several months ago, we learned we won a National Architectural Award for the Cougarplex.
Okay.
So it was nice recognition for the design. But now our students and our staff are taking advantage of the facility. We have a wonderful manager there, Casey Messenger. Casey is establishing the clientele and the memberships. We're looking at a variety of types of memberships, all the way from senior citizens down to our obviously our student groups. But we have a 1/10 of a mile track in that facility, a fitness circuit, free weights, and then 3 full courts that are college level length. So in the summer we can run some summer leagues. We can certainly continue to have full use of that with intramurals, and then we have our competition court, the Lorraine Ramsey Gymnasium. So there's been upgrades to all of that, and we're very proud of it, and obviously we're pleased to have it now in our 2nd year.
Now, are there, we don't want to tell all the secrets, but are there anything that are coming up in the future for ICC that you all are going to be unveiling? Because I know you all are probably talking about all the different spaces that you have available to you. There's probably some fantastic things that are coming up around the corner.
Well, Lamar, there is a very important initiative in how we're looking at our campus locations. We're really wanting to move our nursing and health career programs from the downtown location out to ICC North. The reason is North has capacity to hold those programs. Then we would have Thomas and Pearlie buildings available to lease or sale, lessening the footprint of the college, lessening our cost, and of course the advantage of sale is investment then in our other capital projects. What we'd like to do at ICC North is add a student center. It would be a 2-story building in the center of that campus that would give us all the services for our students, like advising, food service, library. All of that would be housed in the center of the campus, and then we'd be able to, through capacity, hold another 2,000, 3,000 students. When we finish this, our goal is by 2015 to open up ICC North to health careers and nursing. That college will be, that site will be about 5,000 to 6,000 students. We'll have 6,000 to 7,000 students in East Peoria. They'll be about equal in size. And then South has around 500, 600 students. So I think that'll balance very nicely our campus locations. It consolidates our resources, lessens our costs, saves taxpayers money, and hopefully will enhance our programs with the new remodel that we're doing at North.
With you all continuing to grow in terms of size, are you ever thinking about Illinois Central College becoming a 4-year institution? I know I've heard rumors of people in the community have rumors about that because of the size, that you're almost at the size that you could become a 4-year institution. Is that a thought in the future?
Well, a couple of things. At 12 to 13,000 students, we are the same or larger than 5 of the state universities. So size or scope is a factor and some discussion there. But it really isn't part of the mission. I think it's really important to remember the mission of the 2-year college, Lamar, and access and opportunity for students, and sometimes students who don't have often a chance to attend college. A community college gives that opportunity because it's the low-cost provider for a higher education. And so I wouldn't want to see the Peoria area lose the strong 2-year college that it has in Illinois Central College. But I also do see a need in the workforce for continued opportunities for baccalaureate completion and graduate work at a state university tuition level. So I have been an advocate, and I voice as often as I can what I think is an important missing ingredient to really having a quality higher educational landscape for our Peoria area. So I would love to see a state university exist in our area. I think it would complement well the workforce needs we have. An example would be the teachers in our community. Years ago, the state used to give a grant to Bradley University to help Bradley lower the cost of its tuition to allow teachers to do their master's completion. And that grant dried up in all that we've gone through with the recession and budget restrictions. And so we're really left here with a difficult decision for teachers. If I want to pursue my master's degree, I either have to commute to Illinois State or Western, or do I pay the tuition of Bradley? And sometimes the faculty contracts do not cover that full cost. And teachers' salaries are not so large that they can afford often to do that. Plus you add family and time, and you've got a lot of, let's say, barriers that are in the way. And the result is statistical. The average for a public school teacher in Illinois to have a master's degree is 60%. If you go to any public school district, about 60% of the teachers will have their master's. But in District 150, it's 50%.
Wow.
So we have less master's degree prepared teachers in 150 than the state average.
Wow.
But you could even go up to Dunlap, and it's 48%. In other words, teachers have to form their own cohort group and begin to leverage the university, even offer some programs back in our community. I think that's a step that's unnecessary, and I'd like to see the state step up, or a state university step up and really take and serve the community, the Peoria community area better than what
I'm glad you brought that up. Very valid point. In regards to our community, as you all know, here in Peoria is very diverse, and the surrounding areas that we all cover are very diverse. How do you see Illinois Central College in regards to that diversity, in the types of students that you have attending there and the types of things that they want to go into?
Well, Lamar, we've had over several years a concentrated effort in recruiting and retaining minority students. African American students at ICC, when I arrived in 2000, 2001, was about 8 to 9% of our student population. Now we're as high as 15, 16% in African American students, and that's not by accident.
Okay.
We're specifically recruiting and supporting the African American student to look at college, and especially look at the community college as a good first step for that educational goal. But we haven't just said, come to the college and get an education. We're saying, come to the college and be welcomed. We're going to support you. We're going to try to understand what your challenges are. We're going to try to help knock down those barriers and make you successful in your steps toward your education and toward life. We created a few years ago an African American male initiative called Harvesting Dreams.
Yes.
Agbara Bryson brings leadership to that, as many others do. Dr. Rita Ali is a Vice President of Diversity and Adult and International Education. She has been instrumental in helping coordinate these initiatives. So I think as you watch ICC evolve in these next few years, you're going to continue to see a growth in the area of minority recruitment, minority attainment in terms of educational degree, and especially the African American who's looking at Illinois Central College.
So do you have some key things that you do in regards to retention to make sure once a student has committed to wanting to come to Illinois Central College that he or she is going to either A, walk across your stage and transition to another four-year institution or the workforce? What things do you have for retention?
Lamar, I think the key that we found out in terms of student success, this is any student, but especially a student that might be a little more at risk of stopping out, is hands-on, the human touch.
Okay.
Making sure that that student knows that he or she is very valued by us and that we care what happens to her or him. And so it's in that human touch that we found retention is achieved. It's often when the student doesn't feel like they are engaged or as valued, that they begin to look at all the other life situations that are occurring and they become insurmountable and they'll stop out. Part of it's financial aid, sometimes it's child care, sometimes it's transportation, sometimes it's just certainly emotional health, physical health. There's all kinds of reasons for students to stop out. And we try to be holistic in how we approach that. And but I think the key message here in your question about retention is letting each student know he or she is valued, and then just knowing we're here and we're going to help you any way that we can, put our resources behind your success.
One of the resources that I think you all have put together to aid students in that success, for some of those students, housing is an issue. And you all have a unique thing at Illinois Central College, and you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, 8 years ago, we looked at, remember I mentioned the size of our district.
Yeah.
We had students driving 30, 35, 40 miles one way each day to class. Now, Central Illinois has had a milder winter last year,
Yes,
but we're not going to always have a
Yes,
mild winter. And winters can be pretty tough. So driving, the price of gasoline, the weather and how it can be challenging, and just trying to get back and forth to class, that distance can be very difficult. So we thought student housing made sense for Illinois Central College, and we did it modestly. We created 330 beds. That's fairly modest housing circumstance. After all, we got 12,000 students.
Exactly.
We're still overwhelmingly a commuter regular college. Students drive to our campuses, but we do have an option for them to look at residential, and it's right next to the main buildings there in East Peoria, Woodview Commons. And we keep our rental competitive, and it's inclusive. All things are wrapped into one cost for the student. And because of proximity, they can get to their classes quickly, and then they can learn about time management, about how to handle their personal situations in terms of laundry, cleaning, cooking.
Their parents probably love all of that, right?
Well, it's kind of obviously it's a learning experience. It may be the first time that person's independent, so there's some settling out that occurs in those opening months, but I think it's a very positive environment at Woodview Commons, and we believe the students do learn a lot of good life skills, and then they can take those to the university if they transfer, or into the job or workforce as they obtain that first job.
And you were talking also earlier about hands-on, a lot of the things you all have available for students who, in terms of that hands-on experience. How important do you think those things are in terms of a student being successful? Or has it changed in regards to the things that students want?
I think with the recession and a deflated job market, it becomes even more critical for a student that's looking at the next step for a job to have some kind of an advantage. And for me, the advantage will always be applied learning or internships or co-ops. I not only learned how to do that or read about it, I've done it. And when a student can say that, and if I'm the employer, the prospective employer, I'm giving that person, that prospective employee, a little check mark and an advantage in looking at that job, because I won't have to put as much into the training or the time before they're going to be productive for me as an employee.
And also, one thing that we wanted to talk about was you have another new program that's going to help out Peoria in terms of a service area. You have an emergency dispatch degree. Is it a degree?
It's an associate degree in emergency dispatch.
You want to talk a little bit about that? Because that's very new, correct?
Yeah, it's brand new. But I think one of the important things for the community to realize is, first of all, Illinois Central College is trying to be responsive to our needs in our community. Every first responder, whether it's through firefighting, police, or through agency work, maybe it's American Red Cross, maybe it's another agency, but when there's an agency that has to work through a crisis situation, emergency dispatchers are absolutely critical to the success of recovery and responding to personal injury or property damage that's out there that can occur. And if a dispatcher is trained appropriately, he or she will be effective, probably even to the point of saving lives. So we want to be a part of that, making sure our community has the best possible training ground for those skills to be available, and that our dispatchers are exemplary in what they do. We know lives are at stake, property is at stake when that occurs.
And so with this particular program, so are you going to be creating other partnerships that's going to help those people who complete this particular program to get into the workforce?
Sure, yeah. I think your point about can we create internships that are part of this, certainly we can. And this wasn't created without the input of our local law enforcement, local fire, and local emergency medical technicians. Their input is critical to the design of this and how it will work, as well as our own communication professors and understanding the importance of good verbal communication, and certainly to know how to use the modern equipment that's out there.
And you just helped me with this next question. I know Illinois Central College tries to stay on the cutting edge of technology. So, you know, in terms of iPads and those smart boards, are those the types of things you all are using in the classrooms as well?
Yes, and our faculty has been great in preparing themselves to integrate as best as possible the technology that's available to our students. Many of our students have iPhones, iPads, certainly laptops. It's very, very common. We've even, because of the availability of those devices, looked at a rental program for textbooks and or e-books for our students, saving students money, transportable. You won't find very many students carrying 5 or 6 books anymore. Even book bags may not have as many books anymore as they do laptops or these devices. So it's really a change in what kind of student we have, and I believe our faculty's adjusted very nicely in looking at these options for their classroom.
Well, I just want to thank you. I hope Peoria actually understands that they have a fantastic person at the helm over there at Illinois Central College. You're more than welcome to come over on the Captions and talk about these types of things at any time. So I really want to thank you for taking the time and effort to speak with us.
Well, Lamar, it's mutual. Captions offers the community a chance to have a look into what's happening in the community. Illinois Central College, by its very name, is a community college. So I'm very proud to be part of it. I have a great board of trustees, a great group of talented staff and faculty. I love our students that come through there, and we'll be doing all we can to keep that place for our students vibrant and relevant.
Well, thank you again, Dr. Erwin.
You're welcome.
For all of you, continue to stay tuned right here to Captions. We're going to continue discussion in regards to higher education.
The city of Peoria has recorded its 16th homicide.
Homicide numbers are way too high.
Single gunshot wound to the head.
No more violence in the city. We live here. The children have a right to play in the streets. Okay, it's over. This isn't going to be tolerated anymore. We're not going to put up with it.
Welcome back to Captions. I'm Lamar Anderson, and we're continuing our discussion in regards to valuing higher education. I have two very special guests here with me today. I want to welcome Dr. Sara Rusch, Regional Dean of the University of Illinois College of Medicine, as well as Meredith Bunch, the President/CEO of Midstate College.
Thank you.
Welcome, ladies, to the show. You all know that education is very important in today's society, and there is a lot of youth who are trying to find out what are the next stages or steps that they're going to plan to do in terms of continuing their education. We also have people who are returning back to colleges and their universities. But let's get into a little bit about the differences between your two schools and some of the similarities that they may have as well. So Meredith, we'll actually start with you in regards to Midstate. So could you first and foremost tell us a little bit about yourself and Midstate?
I am born and raised in Peoria, Illinois, and I began in education, specializing in secondary education, and soon found I enjoyed working with adults.
Okay.
And found a home at Midstate College doing that, so I began teaching and worked my way into different areas of the institution, and I have now been president of the college for 2 years. And Midstate College itself has been in Peoria for a long time. It was founded in 1888 in Peoria.
Okay.
It's the oldest educational institution in Peoria, and we'll be celebrating our 125th year anniversary this year.
So this is a big celebration. Everyone's welcome to come out.
Oh yes, we will be having a big celebration in the fall, and we'll let the community know when and where. So we look forward to really celebrating that with.
Okay.
Indeed. So,
okay.
The institution is a private institution.
Okay.
It's been family owned for 50 years, and we specialize in diploma programs, associate degree programs, and baccalaureate programs tailored to adults. We serve adult learners, and we tailor our programs around that.
Okay, and are you seeing an increase of students coming back to as adult learners wanting to pursue their education at Midstate?
Now more than ever, their adults are seeing a need to retool, find new careers, or to advance their careers and get the next level of education. So we definitely are seeing that.
And what do you think some of the factors are in regards to adults not in the workforce now starting to pursue other degrees? What do you think some of those reasons are?
Well, there's just a need to have some sort of education to establish a good career and have a foundation now more than ever. And adults are finding that maybe what they did in the past without education is no longer a viable option for them. And even those adults who are in the workforce want to continue to move up in their career, and so they find that they need to return for more education.
So what are some of the most unique things about your college that you all have that people, when they're looking to pursue additional education, what are some of the unique qualities you all have?
Well, some of the unique qualities about the institution is that we're tailor-made for working adults. So our programming offers classes day, night, online, and a great mix of the three so that they can kind of put their schedules together around what makes sense. They can go to school online, but they're still close enough to the institution to get the help they need or to sit down with a faculty member. We're very small, and we work very closely with our students, and that also makes a big difference for those individuals looking to not get lost in a large institution, but to be engaged with the faculty and the other people in the college. Makes a big difference for them.
And what are some also other things that you all have in regards to those people who have not been in college for some time? You know, technology has changed.
Sure.
The classrooms have changed. What are some of the things that you have to help students make that transition?
Technology courses are embedded in all of our programs, and we are able to start people at the if they don't know how to turn on a computer, we're able to start them there and work their way up, and we find that's critical for everyone in every field. We also have a student success office, and this is unique for our institution, that works very closely with students the minute they feel that they're falling behind, if they need extra tutoring, if they just need support, we reach out to them, we reach out to our students if we haven't seen them in class, and we really try to keep that close connection so that if they're having problems, if they're having challenges, we can work with them. And lastly, we also have one introductory class that's in most of our programs that really helps them establish some foundations around being able to get back in the groove of going to school, getting taking skills and study skills, time management, goal setting, and just some very basic things to help them be successful along the way.
So someone is actually thinking about coming to Midstate. What is the process? What are things?
It's very simple. They just come and meet with an admissions representative, and they walk them through the process. It's as simple as there's an application, there is an entrance exam to make sure that they're able to handle the work that is in front of them, and we walk them through the financial aid process step by step so they know exactly what kind of financing they have before they begin classes, and right into orientation. So we really just kind of walk them through a simple process.
And after someone has completed their time at Midstate, are there some different things you all have in place that will help them in terms of the job market?
Definitely. A couple things that we have in place. One, all of our students go through a professional development course or professional advancement at the end of their program, and in that we work with them on their interviewing skills. We make sure that their resume and all of those things, the cover letter and every little detail that they need, and they go through mock interviews around their profession, and all these things help them be prepared to go out and get those interviews. Then they work with our placement assistance office, which we have lifetime placement assistance for our graduates. So we help them find a job, we help them line up those interviews, and then at any time, if our graduates decide they want to come back for a different job or change in their career, we're there to help them and work with them. So we make a lifetime commitment to our graduates in that respect.
And that's always good to hear. And Dr. Rusch, you've been so patient. I definitely want to thank you for sitting there and being so patient. There's a few questions we want to ask you as well. Could you give us a little bit of background about the University of Illinois College of Medicine?
University of Illinois College of Medicine has been here for about 40 years. 40. And it began in about 1970, and it is one of the regional campuses of the University of Illinois Chicago. And so the campus trains about 50 medical students a year for 3 years. It's a 4-year program, but the first year is in Urbana-Champaign. And then after they finish medical school, our students will go into residency. Some of those students will stay here in Peoria and others go elsewhere. And we have about 240 total residents in the system as well. So they enter after finishing college. They do 4 years of medical school, then 3 to 7 years of residency, and then fellowship after that. And then when they finish, they enter practice as physicians.
Now, are the facts that we have major hospitals here in the city of Peoria, is that a draw for your university?
Absolutely. We have a very tight relationship primarily with St. Francis and Methodist, and so we do our teaching in collaboration with them. So our medical students spend time in both of those institutions, and that's where our residencies exist. And so the impact on the institutions is also profound because the Many of the physicians who are in practice here in Peoria trained here. I myself finished my residency here between 78 and 81. I came here from Wisconsin and liked Peoria. I met my husband here and have been here ever since. And so that story's been repeated time after time after time. And so if you look at Peoria, about 60% of the primary care providers, that would be your pediatricians and your general medicine doctors, your family medicine docs, your obstetricians, trained in a residency here in Peoria. So the impact of the medical school has been profound.
And what majors are you seeing a lot of the students who are coming to your university wanting to go into at this particular time?
Well, you know, people come to medicine because it's such a competitive and long training program, primarily with the desire to take care of people. And many of them also have a fascination with science. Okay. But you can come from any major, but you do have to take, you know, your science courses no matter what major it is. So even if you do psychology or social work or one of the others, you still have to take the same kind of core science courses.
And what unique programs do you all also offer in terms of helping students who are coming to your institution to be successful?
Well, we're very proud at the University of Illinois of our programs that promote diversity, because people tend to return back to the communities that they came from. So whether it's rural or urban, we have special programs to help recruit those individuals. About 30% of the population of the College of Medicine across the 4 campuses comes from an underrepresented minority, and so we're proud of that. For all of our students, we have programs in place to help nurture them through. Once they're accepted, it's a very intense and difficult program, and they do occasionally fall behind or have the very same challenges, and so we do have programs in place to help facilitate their learning, provide them with tutors, give them extra coaching skills.
And do you have anything in place that, with the job market being as it is, are students able to also work and also attend classes? Do you have anything in place?
Now, when you're in medical school, you're pretty much totally in medical school. You know, there really isn't too much time to do too much else, although some of our students will do teaching role activities. When you're in residency, again, you know, we just recently cut back so that they didn't have to work more than 80 hours in a week, and so, you know, you're pretty much busy, although you do get paid as a resident. You pay tuition as a medical student. As a resident, you get paid. So there isn't too much outside activity. It's really not geared for that. But we do get many more students of different ages than we used to. It used to be people traditionally went through undergraduate college and then directly into medical school. Now many of them have masters, and I think the oldest person in this next year's class is 52 and returning to go to medical school. So more variation than you might expect, and we really believe it's important to recruit individuals to come from out of our community. And so the medical students actually go out to some of the medical schools. They go to Manual, they go to Quest, and role model what it would be like to be a physician. I believe healthcare is going to be a great place to be as a job career and as a path, not only because of the personal satisfaction, but you know, because there's going to be a lot of demand, whether it's in some of the things that are taught at Midstate or the level that is taught at the College of Medicine and within our residencies. There's going to be a huge demand for healthcare as we all age, and it's going to be a good place to be working.
I definitely believe that as well. My other question that I had is, what do you see the outlook in regards to the job market? In terms of, do you have anything in place that after they've completed their residency, what's the percentage of students that you have graduate who go on to the different hospitals or medical field?
Really, there's such a demand for physicians that when they graduate, they don't have a real challenge finding a place. Now, if they wanted to live in San Diego on the beach, you know, that might be a little more complicated because there's more competition for that. But certainly within the Midwest, and particularly in rural areas, they're actually projecting quite a large physician shortage.
I can believe that as well. Now, you talked about the diversity in terms of at your institution. Do you see that diversity transitioning on not to just to certain things that people are studying, or is it just diverse in regards to age as well?
Well, you know, when I started medical school, the classes had 3 women and 50 men, you know, and so now our classes are about 50-50 male and female. We used to be not very ethnically diverse, and now we're quite ethnically diverse. And the number of fields that people go to also are diverse. We have some that go into neurosurgery, which is like 7 years of training, some that go into family medicine, which is 3 years of training. And the style of practice is much different, of course. So there's opportunities to kind of choose once you enter medicine which direction you want to go.
And what's the process for someone applying to the university?
Well, it's a very competitive discipline. So you have to do 4 years generally of undergraduate, taking certain courses. Your grade point right now has to be about a 3.6 or a 3.7 on a 4-point scale. Then you take a competitive national exam, and then you apply to your medical schools.
And what would, and this is a question for both of you ladies as well, what would you recommend for students who are trying to pursue education, who are in high school, who are thinking about colleges and a university that they want to attend? What are the main things you think that they should be focusing on now in school at a young age?
I think, you have to learn how to study, and no matter what and that's not easy because it's easy to get distracted. You have to be able to set long-term priorities, that if I don't go out tonight and I study, then that will have an impact on what happens the day after that and the day after that. And, those are challenges for anybody who's a teenager. I have 7 kids, so I can speak with experience. It's not easy to focus when you're younger, and I think you have to learn those skills. And so I would say that's important. Then find something you feel passionate about. If you're really interested in it, you're willing to put in the time. And none of these things just drop in your lap. You got to work on it. And so you have to feel like this is something that you really care about, that you can see, not only see yourself doing so you get a paycheck, but that you care about doing because of the joy you get and what you accomplish doing it.
I definitely can hear that.
I would like to just echo that, especially about passion. I think that's critical, and when you find that passion and you find that what drives you and where you want to end up, that makes all the difference. And I also believe a good foundation in general education is key. I know sometimes students feel like, why do I need to learn this? How will this impact me in the long run? And with those good study skills and the ability to perform well and learn how to be a good student if you want to continue on. But you need to understand that general education foundation is key for everyone, regardless of what you want to do, and that continues on in college. Even if you try to specialize in a certain field, it's critical for everyone.
And in our society that a lot of our young people who are thinking about education now are thinking about furthering their education because it's money driven, how much they're going to make, and some of that passion that you talked about earlier is not the main factor. In terms of career assessment or seeing what somebody wants to go into, what things do you all have in place to see to kind of help guide them in those directions?
To help guide them in terms of what
they ultimately want to do, because someone may think they know what someone does in the medical field, or may think they know what someone does in a particular career, and then they actually see or get a glimpse of what they really do, and then they realize that's not what they want to do with the rest of their life. Do you have anything in place prior to someone starting to take classes that help them, guide them into some of the things that or pique their interest in some of the things that they may want to go into?
I'm sure we're quite different in this, but for our students, that can be a challenge, and many times they come to us knowing they want a better career, but a little bit confused about what that might be, and so we just work with them at an admissions standpoint to really try and understand what they like, what their strengths are, what drew them to where they are now. We start with that, and then again with those entry-level classes, we do some self-analysis in terms of their strengths, their learning styles, and how those may impact their career choices. So we try to pay attention to that, especially with our students, because we do have such specialized programs that we want to make sure that they're in the right place. And then through the student success element, we try to stay in touch and make sure that they're on that path.
Gotcha.
It's very challenging for us.
For us, they're pretty well committed by the time they're in the door. The most that I could say is that we do try to do outreach into the community using our medical students. They have a group that is a volunteer group called Guides. And so when they go out in the community, that gives people a chance to interact with a medical student. And then that gives them, the students, a chance, the students in the classroom, or to say, yes, I can kind of see myself in that. because it's easier for them to see themselves in our students than they can perhaps to see themselves in the more senior people that are the teachers and professors.
I want to thank both of you ladies for coming to the show. You're more than welcome to come back anytime. This has been Lamar Anderson. I want to thank you all for tuning in to another edition of Captions.